Every year, numerous lives of police officers are lost in the line of duty. Oklahoma City is no exception to this. Today we hear a story from Officer Lopez and his close call, a traffic stop that began and ended with him fighting for his life. Come along and sit down with us at this barbecue joint on the city's south side, and we'll hear about Officer Lopez's close call. Hey, what's up, dude?
What's up, man? How are you?
Good, how you been?
Pretty good. How about you?
Good, you hungry?
Yeah.
Did I wake you up today? You can say it.
Yeah, man, those 2 shift hours are kind of rough.
Yeah. Here, go ahead, brother. You work 2 shift, right? Which is 4 p.m. to 2 a.m.?
Yep.
Really the shift where the rubber meets the road.
Right about like 10 p.m., just about that time is when, you know, people who are up to no good are out driving around.
So tell me about this night.
You know, I'm just kind of driving around, kind of figuring out, like, you know, it's like, hey, you know, do I really want to do that one last traffic stop and just, you know, see what I get from it, or just call it a day? And I see this car on the side of the road, and I don't know for what reason, I just thought it looked kind of weird, you know what I mean?
What was it about it? Why do you say that?
It seemed like it was kind of loaded down with people, and again, this is like super late at night, parked next to a house, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go check it out real quick. So I turn around, finally kind of get behind it. I see them commit a traffic violation, turn on my emergency lights and siren and all that stuff.
So this is a time of night where you're able to be a little more proactive in patrolling, checking people to make sure they're in compliance, that they don't have warrants, issuing traffic tickets. That's really what you're looking for at this point, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So this car, it pulls into the parking lot. What does it look like, and what does it look like inside?
Like the back window of the car was pretty tinted, so I couldn't really see inside. There's 3 people in the car. Obviously the driver, a front seat passenger, and a back seat passenger. And I noticed that the driver is like super quiet. He's not saying anything at all. And any question that I would ask, the passengers are like talking.
Can I see your driver's license, please?
Nice.
Huh?
It was nice. You didn't know what his name was.
Answering for the driver, and he's the one you stopped. He made the traffic offense, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And
so is your radar up at this point at all?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought it was kind of like weird that they're just so nervous, you know, just talking kind of deal, and the driver's not saying a word. I talked to him directly. I'm like, hey man, do you have a driver's license? He's just kind of like sitting there with his arms on the steering wheel, not saying a thing still. And I'm like, hey, did you hear me, man? Do you have a driver's license? He just says no. He looks back at me and says no. And I'm like, okay, well, at this point, I'm gonna get him out of the car. You know, put him in handcuffs, walk him out to my car like I always do. And before I do that, I'm like, hey man, do you have any weapons, any guns, any knives, or anything like that? And he just kind of drops his head down and says, like, just shakes his head. So he steps out of the car, I grab him. And as soon as he gets out of the car, he tries to like run away. All right, go ahead and step out for me real quick.
Where y'all at now?
Face away from here. Face away from here. Where you going, bro? Let's go. As he's running away, I mean, I kind of use my leg to kind of like sweep his legs under him, and he finally goes to the ground. So whenever he's on the ground, you know, he's asking for help, for, you know, his buddies for help. He's like, hey, come help me, please, help me, please.
Help, bro, help.
Wait,
help.
You've got a guy that's actively resisting you by trying to get away. You're also having to check the car to make sure that you're not going to get ambushed by anybody else coming out of that car.
I think what kind of saved me from them coming, because somebody else was actually like chasing somebody else on a bicycle, and they were all coming towards him. So in the video, you can actually hear sirens and like kind of in the background.
But you haven't asked for backup yet.
No, I mean, everybody's just going to the other guy down the street. And I think the other 2 people in the car, they heard the sirens and they're like, hey, you know what, I don't want nothing to do with this. Because at some point I remember seeing the backseat passenger getting out of the car, and he runs away. And then I remember the front seat passenger getting on the driver's side, and she drives away. I remember at some point, I mean, I had a pretty good advantage on this guy because he was on the ground. And then all of a sudden he starts crying, telling me, he's like, hey, I'm sorry, officer, I gotta go.
Off your waist, go. Let me go. They go off your waist.
I noticed that he starts reaching in his waistband. I'm like, okay, yeah, he's definitely got a gun. And I mean, at some point, he managed to kind of like curl up and like he was able to pull out a gun. And I remember seeing the gun in his right hand, so I used my right arm to kind of like pin it up. So he was kind of like stuck at this position, kind of doing. I'm still on top of him.
Okay.
And,
So you're in a fight for your life at this point.
yeah, I mean, I was just trying to get it away from him. So, and I remember at some point he shot in the ground, and I'm like, oh crap, this is real. And the gun is loaded. I mean, I'm over here by myself fighting with this guy in the middle of a parking lot, and I was just hitting him, you know, any chance I could. And, you know, he finally lets go of it, so I grab it and I toss it away from us. But obviously the gun's still pretty close to us, so I'm like, okay, well, at this point I'm super tired, so I gotta end this. If I let go of him, he might reach for the gun again. So when I put my arm around his neck, I mean, I just remember pulling as hard as I could.
So by you grabbing him, that was more of kind of a way for you to restrain him.
And at that point, all I'm thinking is that, hey, I don't want to get shot. Luckily, my partner, he recognized my voice and he knew, you know, that something was not right. The way I did it, I mean, it worked out. You know, he didn't shoot me, I didn't have to shoot him, and you know, he went to jail and I went home at the end of the night. So.
And that's why they say there's no such thing as a simple traffic stop, but it, you know, it's gone from, hey, can I see your driver's license, to drop the gun.
You know, it just hit me out of nowhere, kind of, which, you know, obviously with their job, it could happen at any moment. So.
Oh man, it's good catching up, hanging out, and I hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate it, man.
See you, dude.
Thank you.
Each and every day, police officers step out of their front door and go to work not knowing if it's going to be the last time that they leave their house. Oklahoma City Police Department trains its officers to encounter situations like this and how to handle themselves and conduct themselves when dynamics can change very quickly. Very fortunate for Officer Lopez that he was able to maneuver himself in a way and get out of that situation as safe as possible. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next Close Calls.